This is the Worthiest Podcast, the show that reminds you that you're not broken and you're not alone. I'm Molly Shar, and today we're talking about self-compassion. Oh, friends, this is the sweetest topic, but it's so hard. It can be so hard to be compassionate to yourself, to take that experience of feeling compassion for someone else and turn it inward. That experience that is acknowledging that someone is suffering and being moved by that, responding in a way that you want to help, recognizing that suffering and imperfection are all part of the human experience, something that we all share. Whoever you are, however you were raised, whatever circumstances you live in now, at some point, and unfortunately, probably at many points, you got the message that you are not lovable, that you are not worthy of love, that there's something wrong with you. When we absorb that message, it lives inside us. We don't feel like we can trust ourselves. We feel shame and failure. And this is often a silent suffering. I've talked before about the concept of human giver syndrome, that women and people socialized as women are taught from birth that our role is to give, to support, to care for other people, to make them comfortable. There's little room in that set of expectations for us to feel compassion for ourselves. In fact, we can conjure up compassion for just about everyone around us except ourselves. Why is that? And perhaps the more important question is, what are we losing out on by not being able to tap into self-compassion? Like so many parts under this umbrella of self-care or even emotional wellness, we tend to look at self-compassion as selfish, as indulgent, as if giving ourselves a hard time about things has helped us, as if hating ourselves instead of loving ourselves has made us into better people. But how can we truly put love out into the world if we can't bring it into ourselves? I ask this innocently because I don't see how it's possible. I could bring gifts to bear into the world, but until I truly, finally had compassion for myself, I didn't have the depth to reach into for others. Self compassion is the key to being able to have empathy for others and to being able to connect with other people, with other beings. The ability to be self compassionate is so closely related to worthiness, to believing that you are enough just as you are, flaws and all, that you deserve to love and be loved. When we practice self compassion, we can sit with ourselves and ask, what happened to you, rather than what's wrong with you? I want you to hear this clearly, friend, because I know that some listeners are out there thinking, okay, Molly, I hear you. We all deserve compassion, except me. If this is you, if you are struggling to turn the compassion towards yourself, I am now talking directly to you, friend. You deserve to be treated with the kindness, gentleness, and consideration as you would treat someone you love. You deserve to be that someone you love. This is not easy. You have a lifetime of internalized messaging and critical self-talk to overcome. So if you're beating yourself up for beating yourself up, that's not surprising. How meta, right? When we look at putting self-compassion into practice, it's important to start by acknowledging where you're suffering, then gently ask, how can you help yourself? You can practice self-compassion as you are acting in the world. So this would mean protecting, providing for yourself and motivating yourself, asking yourself questions like, what can I do to stop people who are hurting me or stop the harm I'm inflicting on myself? What can I do to give myself what I need in this moment, in this time? How can I motivate myself with kindness and support and understanding rather than with criticism? And you can also practice self compassion in being with ourselves. So that is asking questions like, what can I do to take care of my emotional needs? How can I make myself physically calmer? What can I say to myself to validate my own feelings? When we look at burnout, for example, in the world, we might talk to colleagues about rebalancing our workload or taking those vacation days that we burned so that we can unplug and recharge. And in being with ourselves, we might listen to relaxing music in a hot bath at the end of a long day. Two different approaches to the self compassion, both of them really important. I was thinking this last week about a time when I was younger, when I was charging forward in my life, in my career, and when I really didn't like myself much at all. I was thinking about that girl who had these big feelings she didn't know what to do with. So she stuffed them down inside herself, feeling abandoned and rejected, jealous, indignant, angry, lonely, completely unworthy. At that time, I had no capacity for self compassion. Those emotions themselves felt like flaws, that there was something wrong with me for feeling that way. And the way to deal with that was to be tough on myself so I would fix what was broken. I wasn't interested in self care. If anything, I was aiming for self improvement to hashtag live my best life, to be a shinier version of myself. At that time, I'd say my goal was to hide the crazy. But here is the beauty of self compassion. I now have such incredible empathy for that girl, for how she got to that place, how she struggled, how much it took to come out on the other side. I can honor and respect and acknowledge that suffering in myself and in others. And that is where the healing begins. You've got this, friend. I'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, I'm Molly Shar, and this is the Worthiest Podcast.